Have to Watch This Podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devon.
And before we get into today's conversation about Mortal Kombat from 1995, wanted to give you guys a quick reminder that this Saturday, April 10th, I had to think what month it was. This Saturday, April 10th, in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, we will be at the Main Street Comic-Con. I'll be there being part of their podcasters and YouTubers panel. Devon and Ryan will be there in spirit. We'll be doing some fun giveaways. We have some fun merch to give away to people, along with some other stuff. So if you're in the area looking for something to do, coming out to Main Street Comic-Con, it'll be a free event. There's going to be a lot of vendors. They keep adding people to every day, so it's going to be a lot of fun. We hope to see you there, and you get some cool stuff from us. That being said, let's get into this week's show. Today's film is the 1995 video game adaptation of Mortal Kombat. This is a film that I had not seen that Devon picked out for me, much to Ryan's leisure.
Agreed.
This is also a video game franchise I have played maybe 20 minutes of total in my entire 30 years of existence. So, that being said, let's get into the show. Devon, take it away.
That is such an awesome place to hear that you came from, because I'm so curious about your opinion on this. Now, some rote facts about the movie. It was released in 1995, directed by Paul Anderson, who you might know from the Resident Evil franchise, Alien vs. Predator, Pompeii, all of those movies. It stars Christopher Lambert, who is in Highlander, who I just affectionately call Diet David Carradine. It stars Robin Shue from Death Race and Beverly Hills Ninja, Lyden Ashby, who is Cameron Christian from The Young and the Restless, and nothing else. Don't question me. And then Bridget Wilson Sampras from Billy Madison, which I thought was really cool, and an unlisted Frank Welker. Frank Welker, you might know as Nibbler or Jabberjaw from Harvey Birdman, or Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget.
Or Megatron.
He's in this, or Megatron. Yeah, he's in this movie too, which I absolutely love. So the cast is pretty stacked. Now, before we get into anything about the movie, I want to hear where everyone's coming from with video game kind of lore with this. So, Alan, I know that you don't have any exposure to this video game really at all.
What I know is that it's a button masher for me, and there was a DC crossover at one point, and now everything crosses over into it. There's DLC for Rambo and Terminator and RoboCop and characters from this movie, which I learned watching it. So that's what I know.
Ryan, what about you? What's your exposure with this?
Well, pre-fifth grade, I remember having friends that had it, and I'd, play it when I was over at their house. Storyline-wise, I don't know if a lot of what I know is actually, accurate, or if it's what happens when a bunch of fifth graders talk to each other about video game storylines at recess. So, but I feel like I'm pretty grounded on it, and I've never really owned a copy of the game series, but I've played enough of them to really enjoy it. And we'll get into more about the movie and how I feel about it and all that later. But yeah, I mean, I know the core of it, I believe, and to me, it's a good version of the main story.
Okay. And I grew up with Mortal Kombat. I never really played it much, but I was always kind of around it. When I was little, me and friend of the show, Andrew, used to play Mortal Kombat in the backyard all the time. And not like we played the video game, young Devon took off his shirt, went, "I'm Liu Kang now," and Andrew got on a bike and went, "I guess I'm Sub-Zero," and then I'm not sure what happened from there. I think that's all I remember. But this franchise is kind of dear to me.
So, Devon, tell me if this is a false memory or not. Did you know how to play the theme song to Mortal Kombat on saxophone?
Yeah,
Okay.
I know how to play the theme song on saxophone. That's also
couldn't think if I was making that up or not.
Nope. So so with that in mind and knowing where we all came from, what did you guys think of the movie?
Ryan, you can go first.
Okay. Well, I mean, the last time I saw this movie before rewatching it this morning was like 4 months ago.
Oh wow.
So I mean, I don't have it on Blu-ray. I have it on DVD. I think it's the original DVD when like it released to DVD. So it doesn't have any of the like enhanced picture or anything. So it's like watching it on a VHS tape.
Neat.
So I get that experience whenever I watch this, but I mean, it's fun to me. And there's really no thought you really need to put into it when you watch it. Like it's kind of like a Godzilla movie, to be perfectly honest. Like it's kind of like it's got flaws, doesn't really matter, overlooking them completely because of what I like about this movie just compensates for any issues that I might have with it. And there's a lot to get into with how I first experienced this movie, which I'm sure we'll get into because that's going to be a little bit. So, but
Okay.
I fully enjoy this. So there's that.
Okay, Alan, what did you think?
Okay, so I gave you some trouble last week when I said I was going to have to pay to watch this.
Yeah.
Thank God it was on Peacock for free, because if I spent money watching this, I'd be flying over to London right now and slapping you.
Oh.
That's an overreaction.
Yeah, maybe a little. It's like watching the most boring parts of watching somebody else play a video game. It's just a bunch of cutscenes. Like I wasn't invested in any of the characters at all. Some of them were making weird choices in the same scene, like tone-wise. And there's a reason that I have the poster up with all of the characters as as our thing here, because I need that for a reference talking about these guys. But yeah, it was not the best video game adaptation I've seen.
Okay, and I want to counterpoint that and say that this is my gold standard for video game movies.
Okay, well, hold on. So I did some research before this show. This is currently sitting on Rotten Tomatoes as the 8th best video game adaptation movie. Number 1 is Angry Birds the Movie 2. Just to give you a frame of reference for what this is.
It's Rotten Tomatoes.
Exactly.
Angry Birds 2 is the best one? Like, that's what they're saying?
I've never seen either.
I like Angry Birds. It's really funny. I like
Is it?
Ryan made me watch that, not even for the podcast. That was before the show. He's like, we're going to watch Angry Birds. And it wasn't bad. I think the best one is Sonic.
Number 3 on the list.
Yeah, what's number 2?
Number 2, I think, is the Tomb Raider movie.
Okay.
The newer one.
Okay. I mean, this is a better adaptation. This is a very faithful adaptation, and I think it's to a fault. Like, I think that's why I didn't enjoy it, because
like almost too much.
It's just cutscenes. Like, there's no meat to the story. It's just like, oh yeah, this person's got to fight this person, and they're going to fight this person. Like, it's. There's different set pieces. Like, it's a faithful adaptation to the video game, but there's not much of that video game for me to be invested in to begin with, personally.
Which I mean, coming from your perspective of not really playing the game and like not really like that, I completely get why why you have the opinion that you do on it. My thing is that either you do this movie like cutscenes in a video game and string it together, or you wind up getting Street Fighter.
Okay, I'm glad you brought up Street Fighter.
Okay, good.
I'm kind of mad at myself. I was halfway through this movie, like, where the hell is Raul Julia? That's all I knew about this movie, and I got it confused with Street Fighter. And neither of you corrected it on me last week. Like, I was expecting Gomez Adams to show up, and he didn't. And I was like, what the hell? Like,
when did you drop any reference that it was going to be Street Fighter?
Huh? I didn't. I know. I just thought I knew Raul Julia was in a video game adaptation before he died, and I
Okay.
got him confused.
Okay. Okay. I mean, that's fine. It happens.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, why is this your gold standard for video game movie then?
Just like what Alan said, it's faithful to the game so heavily, and it's so faithful to the game that to a fault, exactly like Alan said. But the corniness of it that they add in, like Rayden, like the way he talks, his ha 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 ha, like after he says certain things, like it's little stuff like that in this that to me, like, okay, this is just a cornball video game movie. And it's so faithful to the video game that to me, this is like this is where the line is between a video game being a good video game movie and a video game movie being a bad one. So, like, all of the movies that we all picked for our video game movie, like, triple feature, they all fall over that line to where they're in that gold zone, over the gold standard. And there are plenty that, well, a few that actually fall below this. So it's not that, like, this is, like, you know, like, the top best video game movie of all time. This is setting that line of, well, where do you compare to this? Are you as good in these aspects that you know, that, like, this movie, like, hit home runs in, or do you fall short?
Okay, so it's kind of like your benchmark. Like, everything is compared against this. Do you think this movie is too reliant on knowledge of the source material, though?
Yes, I do.
Yeah?
And I feel like that's what Alan's problem is with this.
You think so, Alan? Do you think, like, if you were more familiar with Mortal Kombat, like the history or video games, you'd enjoy this a little more? Or, like, do you think, like, it's just, like, not worth it?
No, definitely. Like, the only character I could name off the top of my head from Mortal Kombat going into this was Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, and I would be able to identify the logo there, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But
So not a whole lot.
nope, nothing. Like, that's all I got. Sub-Zero.
Okay, so let's then start with some of the bad things the movie does, because it does do some admittedly bad things. By the way, this movie lives rent-free in my head all the time. I will watch it with anyone at any point in time, and I will have an equal amount of fun every time I watch it. I will laugh at the dumb parts. I will, you know, I'll dance along to the freaking soundtrack. By the way, watch this movie while working out today. 10 out of 10. Would recommend. It was a good workout movie.
I will give it a positive on the soundtrack. Like, they pretty much just ripped it from the game, right?
I think it was mostly original.
But
it was tuned up. It was like turned to 11.
Yeah, but it's like
Yeah.
the same thing. There's a yeah,
Yeah.
like an
Yeah.
orchestrated version of that, but not actually orchestrated. Like, actually, like MIDI keyboards and
Right,
some
just chip tuned.
I mean, it felt like the game from the bits that I've played. Like, it felt like Mortal Kombat with the music. Like, the music I enjoyed. It was a little jarring compared to what I was seeing on screen, but I enjoyed it.
I mean, this movie's soundtrack went platinum in 2 weeks. Like, that's how well it sold and how, like, well received this, not even the movie, but, like, the soundtrack was. And, like, I looked up how well the movie did. The movie was, I think, #1 in the box office for 3 weeks, which sounds really cool and really impressive. It was up against The Babysitter's Club as the other big release when it came out. So I'm not overly surprised, I think.
Yeah,
It also came out in 95, and Mortal Kombat had been in the news prior to this, because I mean, I remember my mom asking me about this game because a couple guys on my street had it, and I'd go over and and hang out at their place, and we'd play it, and my mom was like, so what happens in this game called Mortal Kombat? Because she heard about it on the news or something, and people wanted to get this thing, like, banned, all for a little bit, like, all for some blood.
Some like red pixels, basically.
Basically red pixels, skeletons, weird deaths, and you could, but there was a mode on the game where you could take that off.
Right.
They actually put a feature for parents to take that out, to where there wasn't any blood, red pixel blood squirting out of the back of the person's head. So it's like, be a parent. Just go in there and find out what your kids are doing. Just be a parent, for crying out loud. Don't cry to the news.
Well, with that in mind, I mean, Mortal Kombat has a history of being like this incredibly bloody graphic thing. Like, Alan, did this surprise you with how with how it portrayed all that?
I was expecting more.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reboot's going to be a lot more bloody, but for 95, it makes sense. Yeah, it wasn't anything shocking for me, I don't think. But I was watching it on Peacock, so I don't know how much they actually edited the film beforehand. So,
did they show the?
Oh, go ahead.
Did they show the guy burst into a million pieces?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
That was it. That was you saw the worst of it. Apparently, the original cut of the movie is supposed to be like R-rated and was supposed to be pretty graphic and bloody. And the studio was like, "No, we need to make this PG-13," so they toned it way down.
Okay. So I got curious about what other movies were in the theaters in August 1995.
Okay.
So we've got Waterworld with Kevin Costner.
No.
Dangerous Minds with Michelle Pfeiffer. That's the Gangster Paradise teacher movie.
Got it.
Something to Talk About, which I'm not sure what that is. Oh, it's a Julia Roberts, Dennis Quaid movie. Babe. That'll do, pig. That'll do.
Good.
The Net with Sandra Bullock. A Walk in the Clouds. Apollo 13. One of Ryan's favorites, Virtuosity.
That's pretty cool.
Clueless.
Makes me happy. 9
months, and then I could just keep going. But the one that caught my eye was Free Willy 2: The Adventure Home.
Fun stuff.
But this
wins.
This opened again. So this was third in the box office its opening weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It also opened with The Babysitter's Club, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was another one. Oh, and The Usual Suspects.
Oh, wow, that's a actually good movie.
Yeah. Usual Suspects came in at 31.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, hold on. I want to make sure the Babysitter's Club movie isn't actually like a good movie that I just think is a bad movie, like Adventures in Babysitting, right?
I don't think it's good. I can't really say much about that.
Okay.
I don't think it's good. Judging by the poster that I've never seen before, I think you're good in saying that. Like,
it's probably pretty...
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, 1995 was a weird year. Man.
Well, I mean, if you have like this being at the top of the box office, I mean, I love Mortal Kombat, but
I want to go back in time to 1995 and just stay at the multiplex, because just looking at the rest of this list: Operation Dumbo Drop, Indian in the Cupboard, Pocahontas, Bushwhacked, Casper, Species, Batman Forever, Braveheart, Bad Boys.
Wow.
Like, just take me.
What a lineup.
That's like peak 90s. Like, that whole summer. Yeah. Like, jeez.
Well, it is dead center in the 90s, so,
yeah.
I mean, that would be the...
Also,
they were like in full swing.
I don't know when it happened, but Ryan's video froze again, and he looks stoned. That's the best way to put it.
That's fun. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so. Yay.
Well, I did want to get into stuff that we didn't like about the movie, because even though I love the movie, there's just stuff that's silly in the movie. Or stuff that, like, you know, is a little bit hard for me to watch. And I could start. I think it's, for me, the ending. I don't love how they're like, yeah, we all did it, guys. And then immediate, like, no rest sequel bait, and then it's over. I don't think I like that. I don't think I got a lot of character resolution there. I got, yeah, guys, we did it, and then sequel bait. And I think that happened too fast for me.
So my big problem with it is, like, yeah, we did it. One guy did it.
Right.
And I have to refer to the poster because I can't remember names.
Liu Kang?
Liu Kang. Like, he's the only one who actually did anything in that final battle. The other one's like, oh no, we're here too. And then they just kind of stood to the side. But yeah, he did all the work. I didn't like that they set up the sequel. And we'll get into that later. But like, there's no like resolution to anything because there's no building up to anything. Like, there's no actual character development for you to resolve here. Like, there's no story except for Liu Kang's brother dying and him getting some resolution there. That's it. That's the only character development I could see in this movie.
Okay, so one, all three of them have issues, and they all get resolved by the end. So Liu Kang, yes, about his brother, and then you have Sonya Blade. Her thing was that she wanted to get revenge, and she had to put that off to the side and focus on what she actually needed to do, and she did. She put her revenge off to the side. Granted, she got her revenge, but she didn't go into the ring really wanting to do that. She actually went into into that ring not looking for revenge, and it actually turned out her way. And then you have Johnny Cage, who he just wants to be able to shut all of the critics up and tell them, hey, look, I am doing my own stuff, because he has a bit of pride there, that there's an issue, like ego pride. And he's able to put that off to the side with one amazing catchphrase. Those were those were $500 sunglasses, asshole.
So that was the one thing that I think got me on this watch was everybody did have plots that were resolved, but they were all resolved at very different moments. Mm-hmm. Like, I think Sonya's was resolved first, and they were like, okay, cool, we got hers out of the way. Next.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
And I think part of the problem is they resolved her getting revenge, and then like, okay, now you're going to be the damsel in distress, and we're going to put you in this leather dress.
Okay, that part was a little bit uncharacteristic for her video game-wise, I think.
It was, and they just wanted to show her off because they got her as an actress for the movie. Like, that's purely a 90s thing that happened.
Coming literally directly after Happy Gilmore. She walked off of the set of Happy Gilmore onto this one.
And they frizzed out her hair.
Exactly. Apparently that role was originally supposed to go to Cameron Diaz, but Cameron Diaz broke her wrist training for this role, and then it went to the lady that we got.
Wait.
Which makes it more 90s.
Yeah.
Cameron Diaz?
Cameron Diaz. IMDb facts, man. I got a bunch of them. They're bananas for this movie.
All right, you said Happy Gilmore. I thought she was in Billy Madison.
Billy Madison. It's Billy Madison is what I meant. I mix those up so much. They're all one giant loud Adam Sandler movie to me.
Yeah. It's the one where he goes through school again, right?
Yeah.
She's like the teacher. She's like the fifth grade teacher. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is like the most 90s person alive.
In the chat, friend of the show, Andrew says, Johnny Cage did enough to stand on the side at the end with his $500 sunglasses. Fair enough.
That's all you need. Ryan, what problems did you have with the movie, if any? I mean, I understand you love it. I love it too.
Look, I love this movie and to be like that, but I mean, to pick this thing apart, let's start. So first off, the beginning of this is just a giant mess. Like, people like to think that the first 40 minutes of, what was it, the last Star Wars movie?
Rise of Skywalker?
Rise of Skywalker. People, like to talk about how, they were jumping from person to person, the editing was horrible. You watch the first 30 minutes of this movie and tell me that that's the worst thing you've ever seen. So they cut back and forth between all of the characters real quick, and you go from Liu Kang to Sonya to Johnny Cage, and then you throw in Rayden there a little bit, and then you have him talking to his sensei person, sitting in his chair, which they say real quick. So if you miss it, you have no idea who the hell this guy is that he's talking to. And then he morphs into the other guy. And then you get to the club, and they get on the boat, and they don't set the tone for Rayden at all. And then he starts cracking. Just like having fun with his character and doing the whole ha 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 thing. So they didn't even set the pace correctly for him to be a character in this. And then they just slap you with dad humor across the face. And then they get to the island, and it's purely a ripoff of Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, basically the plot is a ripoff of Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, and so I give a pass to the effects because it's 95, and this was probably a low-budget movie, so I'm not even going to get into Reptile. I'm not even going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. And then you've got, the princess, in her whole motivation. Katana? Yeah, Katana, and, her whole motivation.
I was going to say Toadstool.
Toadstool?
Is that where she was sitting when they first show her?
No, it was a Mario reference.
No, yeah. I know, but I'm trying to figure out what the connection is between Toadstool and her character.
Oh, just the word princess.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. So, you've got that whole thing going, but, I mean, besides all these issues, and I could list 1,000 more, the cornballiness of this movie counteracts any of that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think, yeah.
But I think if I want to bring up one actual problem with this, it would have to be Sonya's character.
Yeah.
Because they do a decent amount for Johnny Cage. They do a decent amount for Liu Kang. And they do a decent amount for pretty much everybody else. But her, like you said, they'd just be okay, her motivation's revenge. They take care of that. And then any benefit that she has as a character goes right out the window.
Yeah.
And, she's a pretty good character in the video game, and it's kind of upsetting that what they did to her, so, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, they kind of, use her as a plot device at some point, and I just do not like that. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
So, you hit on one of my favorite parts of this, is just its corniness. I think, Ryan, you probably have one. I know I have one. Alan, and I'll answer mine first, but is there a line in this that made you laugh, chuckle, or at the very least, not roll your eyes?
So there's a moment when they're getting on the ship from what looks like a Turbo Power Rangers movie. And Johnny Cage gives the guy his luggage to pick it on the boat. And he just chucks it in the water. He's like, thanks for the money, and just walks away. I love that moment. That was just a giant F-U to him. I enjoyed that. That was probably my favorite moment of the film because I was like, yeah, stick it to the man.
It peaked at 8 minutes in.
Which I absolutely love that scene, and I have a theory. So I mentioned before that I feel like the entire island part is a ripoff of Enter the Dragon, which is a Bruce Lee movie. Bruce Lee, when he was on the set of, was it The Hornet? When he was the
Green Hornet. Yeah.
On the is on the Green Hornet. When they first started filming, some exec walked out onto the set, and they didn't realize that he was in character and in costume, and he handed him keys and asked him to move the car around back.
Oh no.
And I would not be surprised. And this is a pretty popular story. When it comes to people who, follow Bruce Lee and in the industry, they know this story. And I would not be surprised if that was put in there to reference that. Because you don't make a movie like this that's that close to Enter the Dragon without people on set knowing, be like, oh, yeah, no, we're redoing a Bruce Lee movie. So, I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense, too. Because, I mean, I didn't know there was history with that, and I love that there is. It was definitely that kind of a moment.
I just think that whole thing just made me think of the scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Anybody kills anybody goes to jail. It's called manslaughter.
Freaking love that movie. Oh man.
So Mine is anything Rayden says. Anything that he says and then does his like cheap laugh after.
Yeah.
I laugh at hysterical every time.
I don't know why. I think I this time on this watch through, my funniest moment was realizing that Liu Kang got a Western Union telegram, and it just said, "Your brother's dead. Come home." I was like, "Fucking soften the blow a bit, man." Like,
yeah,
don't just be dropping depth charges through Western Union like that.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, at the same time though, like. Man, you rip the Band-Aid off. You don't slowly do it. You just rip the thing right off because it's gonna hurt regardless. So I mean, you know, it's like here. It's just like a Moneyball. You don't beat around the bush. If a guy gets traded, you tell him you're getting traded. This person will take care of your travel and everything.
Yeah.
Your brother's dead. Come home. We need you. Like what? My brother's dead. What? You didn't hear me the first time. Your brother's dead. Come home.
We as a culture have spent so much effort softening the blow of these types of things. They could have at least said like passed away or moved on from this world or the great Mortal Kombat in the sky.
I mean, it's better than saying your brother got a foot through his back and broke his spine and he died from complications. So
Sure.
I mean, you've got to come home. I mean, or better yet, your brother's soul was sucked out by a interstellar demon. We need you to come home and help defeat this guy.
Which reminds me, the freaking facial expressions on the bad guy, I loved every time. Was it ever distracting for you guys or like over the top? Because for me, it was perfect. Like it was like that level of, I get that this is cheesy, I get that this is campy, but he knows it too.
Yeah, he was really hamming it up throughout the whole film. Is that a character in the game?
Yes.
Yeah, Shang Tsung is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know this stuff.
Yeah, he's a little bit different in this movie, admittedly. But basically they ended up taking his actor and using basically that model for future versions of that character. Okay. Which is cool. Like, yeah. So they're all roughly based on him now, which I really like.
All right.
So, what did you guys think of? So we brought this up a couple times, and I wanted to touch on it. What did you guys think of it being basically Enter the Dragon, but a video game? I think for me, it was a smart move. I think that it was a plot that we knew worked, and I think that if putting those same characters in that same kind of situation just kind of worked for the plot, and at least made the movie have some sort of flow to it that fit the video game narrative, instead of trying to come up with their own freaking thing for it.
But, Alan, have you seen Enter the Dragon?
No.
Okay.
Oh, no. Oh, okay.
Because I mean, you set that up really good, Devon. I just wanted to make sure that Alan had that point of reference, and I'm afraid he doesn't. So.
Yeah, I
know. When it comes, I mean, that's what the video game is. I mean, the video game is a straight up fighter. So, I mean, any storyline you get is through little conversations of be like the little pixelated faces with the jaws moving and the little words underneath,
right?
Or from the manual, the booklet that comes with the game. So. I think they were just trying to figure out, okay, so how do we do this through levels? How do we show that things get more difficult with it just being fighting, and they're not going to the same room every single time to fight, like you would in any other type of situation like this that doesn't have to deal with, like, as Rayden said, sideshow characters?
Sure.
Yeah, so it fits. I mean, Alan, pretty much Enter the Dragon. Bruce Lee and a few friends go to this island, and they pretty much have to fight for their lives, and each time they win, they go up a level of this giant tower.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, basically this movie, to be honest.
Which is basically also the video game.
Yeah.
So, but, I mean, is there anything that reminds you of this? Is there a movie that has a similar narrative or similar setup when it comes to this movie, and if you related this to anything?
Not really. Maybe Beverly Hills Ninja.
So wait, have you seen Beverly Hills Ninja?
I have, yeah.
Is it good?
No.
Oh, dang it.
Have you not seen Beverly Hills Ninja?
I've not seen Beverly Hills Ninja.
Ryan, how about you?
I've seen it.
Oh, well. All I need is one of you to put it on the list.
I do really want to watch it, though.
It's not going to be next week, but...
Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the normal karate story that I'm used to, like, punchy, punchy, fighty, fighty. But it's like a tournament this time, so maybe a little bit Karate Kid. With
I can see that.
Minus the wax on, wax off, and sweeping the leg. This time it's punching the balls. So.
Okay, so that was one of the ones that I think looks really stupid, or that scene looks... I was thinking about it today. That scene looks really stupid if you don't know the video games, because in the video game... And I feel like in the movie, like, Alan, did you have this where it just, like, looked cheap and looked like a crappy way to win a fight?
Yeah, it does. It's like a low blow.
Literally.
And do I want to tell this story on the show?
Yes.
I may have
please.
I may have injured myself recently.
Oh no, Alan.
Yeah, in a stupid way. I may or may not have dropped a PlayStation controller on my lap in the wrong spot. Yeah, it wasn't fun. Like, I had people on my headset making sure I was okay because I like let out
So that scene hit home.
Yeah. It was like a 4D experience because I could actually feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think for me, I think the big pull of this movie is I've had a few friendships throughout my life that kind of revolve or in some way, shape, or form incorporate this movie. I've had a lot of like bad movie nights with people where we watch this movie and I've had a lot of fun with it. I've had, I remember I had a friend who lived across the hall from me when I was in college would play this soundtrack all the freaking time just from his room. And we would like talk Mortal Kombat a lot. And it's one of those reasons why like I'll forgive every like, terrible one-liner. I'll forgive every like signed photographed picture of Johnny Cage that he lays down at Scorpion's feet after he explodes. Like, I'll forgive all of that. Do you guys have a movie like that where like it's bad or like it's not a perfect movie, but like it just kind of gives you those like warm fuzzies just because of like the situation that you've seen it in, the times that you remember with it, like those kinds of things?
Batman Forever.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. It's just those movies from '95, man. No, I know it's not a great movie, but that is one that is like my happy place. Like, you put me in, like, the soundtrack gets me pumped. Both the score and the Seal song. I'm sorry, Devon.
Hate it.
I can't bring up that movie without bringing up Kiss from a Rose.
I was hoping we'd slide right past it.
Nope, never.
Damn it.
Even Batman and Robin, like, it's not great, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's fun enough to watch that the fact that Mr. Freeze is in Space Jam 2 is like, what?
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, I think that's mine.
Yeah. Ryan, do you have one?
That's like half the movies I watch. So, I mean, but to really boil it down, I'm just going to say this one simply because it's on topic and it's what I'm thinking of. But I mean, because that, and I've got a lot of movies I'd consider bad that aren't really seen as being that bad. So it's whatever. But this one, I'd say for the conversation. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it's like, I've talked about this before, but like, this was probably my favorite theater experience, like, ever. Mm-hmm. So, just going in and my dad taking me was a surprise. We go to the theater, it's packed. I'm sitting, with my dad, and there's probably like, was it 95, so it was like 10 mm-hmm. or 11. And there was like a group of like older guys, like probably young, but early 20s, late teen sitting next to me, and we're all talking about the game, and really excited for the movie, and then just that anthem hits, and you could feel it in your chest. It was amazing. Everybody's screaming. So much fun. So much fun.
See, I love movie theater experiences like that. Where like you can tell the whole theater is like just in on it.
Yeah.
Oh man, have you had that, Alan? It doesn't have to be for Mortal Kombat, by the way.
Like a movie theater experience like that?
Yeah.
I mean, the last one that comes to mind is Endgame.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I haven't really seen much in theaters since Endgame. But
True.
like the moment when Cap gets Mjolnir and like just that whole final battle, like everyone's cheering. Yeah, I think Marvel movies are the closest thing I get to that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I feel like I had that, and this might be a weird movie for it. I feel like I went to the only like positive screening of The Matrix 3, where all of the theater was in on it, and like that scene where like Neo sacrifices himself, like you could hear a pin drop in the theater. Everyone stopped. It was like very like dead quiet. We were all into it.
yeah.
I mean, and then, reality hit and we realized it was a dumb movie. But for the time, it was really cool. I think that's one of the things I just like the most about this movie is everything around it and not necessarily everything like the movie itself, I think.
Yeah.
No, I like the movie itself too.
No, my big question then, you talked about it a little bit, Alan.
Yes.
Does this movie make you want to watch Mortal Kombat 2 Annihilation?
I think I know that answer already.
No.
No.
No, not at all. Ryan actually lent me a movie that I have somewhere still in the case for Mortal Kombat Annihilation. And I looked at the cover and like, what the hell is this? I'm not watching that. Oh, it's the movie we're supposed to watch.
It's the other movie.
I still have that, by the way, Ryan. We have to meet up at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I have no desire to watch that. Now, my question about that is, does it pick up right where this film ends?
Yes.
It does?
Oh, yeah.
Same character, same actors?
Not really the same actors, but here's the thing. You mentioned before about how this movie ended and how it was like really rushed, and like there's going into it, Liu Kang ends the fight. He reunites with his brother for a quick second, and then they're like, "Well, let's go home," and then just a quick cut to a bunch of kids running with ribbons, and then they're walking down this path that's on the other side of the globe from where they were before, even if they were on Earth, and she's still wearing a robe, which I found funny. Like they couldn't find her clothes. Anyway, so that it picks up right as like the Emperor's like, your souls will be mine, and like it picks up right there, and they have a giant fight, and then they dive more into the world about like how the Emperor was able to break into our realm even though we won, and Raiden has other people that he talks to.
Do they say somehow the Emperor arrived?
They're actually very indifferent about it.
Okay.
I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm purposely bypassing that. Anyway, but yeah, no, they pick right up, and to be perfectly honest, I really feel like they should have just done both movies at the same time, and then release them like 1 year after the other, because I actually like the second one more, to be perfectly honest.
No way.
Yeah.
What?
Because I don't care about how good it is, because it's a Mortal Kombat movie and it's a sequel. And with how, for people who like the video game, and for people who were just like, this is a dumb movie, I get to turn off my mind and just enjoy it, it's a perfect sequel.
See, that's the thing, is for some reason, I really like this movie. I can't do the second one. I just can't. I don't know.
With Sub-Zero's brother?
Yeah. Sub.1. I don't know. I couldn't think of a good enough joke fast enough.
It's just he's just Zero.
Oh, right. He would be. Yeah. The other one's Sub-Zero. It's better. No, I can't do it. I mean, can I spoil some of it for you, Alan?
The sequel? Go for it.
Yeah. One of the things I don't like is that like a second into the first movie or the second movie, they kill off Johnny Cage.
Okay.
And like, I just, for some reason, like I know he's not a perfect character in the first one, but I like his character enough that I feel like he deserved better.
It's because they bring in Dax, and you've got to kill off somebody.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
Which
Katana,
that was,
then?
well, I mean, who?
Katana?
She's important though.
I know, but she wasn't a great character in this movie.
Yeah. Okay, so my biggest complaint with the first one is that Dax isn't in it, and I really like Dax. And when I first saw this, and okay, so Alan, Dax has metal arms.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's him. That's it. That's his character.
He has robot arms, and they actually had him in this movie. He was Sonya's partner when they were in the club, and when she was on the dock, he was the guy that was with her. And when I first saw this, that was my first letdown when I was watching this movie in the theater. Was, oh cool, Dax is going to be in this. This is great. And then she runs off onto the boat, and the last thing you see of Dax is going, wait, call for backup, don't go. And that's the last you see of him. I was like, great, no Dax, I want my metal arms. Well, he's in the second one, and he's got a pretty cool story in the second one.
Okay.
About how he gets the arms and everything, which is really neat.
So with that in mind, and with kind of the lore of this whole thing in mind, Alan, will you watch the 2021 version of it at all? Or are you just like, I'm done?
Are you going to make me watch it for the podcast?
I don't know yet. I'm kind of on the fence about it because
this is another one.
I want to watch it.
This is another one of those HBO Max ones.
It is.
But it comes out Oscar weekend, so.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What a bold move.
Yeah, I mean, it's on HBO Max. I mean.
That's true. That's true.
So really, it's the whole month.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen the trailer for it.
Mm-hmm.
I've only seen pictures. It looks well done. I know Ryan's talked about his concerns about it before. I mean, if you're gonna make me watch it for the podcast, I would love to be able to compare it to this one and nothing else.
Perfect.
So yeah, maybe I'm indifferent. I'm not against it, but I'm also not like
chomping at the bit.
Not chomping at the bit. Gonna load it in at 9 a.m. the next day on HBO Max and get my popcorn ready.
Oh, I will. Ryan, what about you? How do you feel about the new one?
Well, I mean, I have my concerns, but I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just want my concerns to be unfounded.
You sound a little bit like me, where you're like awkwardly, not awkwardly, but you're just like skeptical about things like right away.
Well, it's not that I'm It's not that I'm sketchy about it or skeptical about it right away. It's just it's very situational. Mm-hmm. And this is one of those times where reading a few articles, reading things that have been said, applying it to things that have happened in the past, that's what makes me concerned, because I do not want this to turn into what happened to Hellboy.
Yeah, you're just getting a little bit like over kind of some of these things.
If it's campy and corny, like how the first, the one we're talking about now is, I'm fine. Mm-hmm. But if it turns into like, we're going to use the F word every other sentence because we can, that's when I'm going to be like, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
So. Makes sense.
All right. Any other final thoughts on Mortal Kombat?
I loved it. It's my feel-good movie. If you haven't seen it, just give it a watch. It's fun.
Now, I do have a question for the both of you.
Yeah.
If I were to sit down and play a Mortal Kombat game, which one should I play?
Mortal Kombat 10. It's Mortal Kombat X, I think, is its like official like title. It does a decent job of retelling this story, but in I think a little bit of a better way. You could tell the characters are like a little bit more better fleshed out. Okay. And I really like it. I think it's a good one.
All right.
What do you think, Ryan?
Is that the Mortal Kombat RPG?
No, it is not. No, I know they did a couple of RPGs, and I'm not about that life.
Because that's actually one of those is what I'd recommend. Because I remember a friend of the show, Chris, got either got it or he was renting it, and I was up hanging out with him the one weekend, and he was playing it, and I actually really liked that one. Simply because it's more storyline driven than just pure fighter driven, and I feel like Alan would have more fun with that than he would just a straight up fighter.
Okay.
That makes sense. I'm
I'm trying to fit the game to you, Alan. I'm trying to go towards your strengths and what you like.
I don't mind fighters. It's not my favorite. If it's got a good story though, I'll play it. Case in point, Injustice 1 and 2.
Right.
And I think Devon, when you and I went to Walmart when I was in college and bought Injustice to play it, it came with Mortal Kombat versus DC, which I think I still have around here somewhere. So
yeah, that's probably going to be a bad game.
Yeah, probably. If it came for free with the other one, it's going to be bad. As long as it's got a good story and I'm not just punching, if the cutscenes outweigh the punching, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I remember really getting into it. I remember especially during the Shao Kahn one, the big guy you see in the sky at the end. During the Shao Kahn fight in that last one, I remember really I gotta do this. So I feel like there was some sort of emotional impact in it for me somehow.
Okay. Yeah, and another thing too is, like I said, Mortal Kombat's always been around in my life, and hearing kids talk about it, and me picking it up and me learning it and playing it here and there. My thing with I don't care about storylines in fighting games.
Sure.
I seriously don't, because to me there's just theme out a thing, make characters that fit in that thing, and just let me fight them. That's all I want. That's one of the reasons why when it comes to fighting games, I've always been a Soul Calibur person.
Oh, sure.
Always been always been about the Soul Calibur. And that's actually the game that actually taught me how to actually play those games, and not just smash my fist into the controller like I was doing forever until I got that game, and then I was actually able to I can actually decrease the fight settings to make the the AI fight slower. So I actually taught myself how to play it. I haven't played that in years, so I'd probably be right back to square one again. So
that's cool though.
All right. Anything else on Mortal Kombat?
That's all I got.
All right. So next week it is my turn to pick, and I'm torn, guys. I've got two options. So the Oscars are coming up, and one of the ones that got nominated for a lot of awards is Mank, which has to do with the behind the scenes of Citizen Kane.
Right.
I've never seen Citizen Kane. Have either of you seen Citizen Kane?
Never.
Ryan? I'm not sure. I know that sounds really stupid, but just give me a second.
So here's
or just continue.
It's on the list.
Yeah, I mean, Citizen Kane is considered one of the greatest films of all time. I would like to watch Mank and know what's going on and have that frame of reference for Citizen Kane. So what I'm thinking is we knock off one of the greatest films ever made next week with Citizen Kane, even if it's all three of us watching it for the first time.
I'm on board. It's been high on the list, especially for that reason.
We're talking about the one from 1941.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's still topping lists, though, of best movie, right? It's a heavyweight.
Yeah. So I think that's what we're going to do. I think next week we're going to watch Citizen Kane for the first time, which is not something I thought I'd ever say. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to watch Citizen Kane for the first time right here. You'll be able to hear our thoughts and our opinions on a movie from 1941 that none of us have seen. So it's going to be really interesting.
Wow. I can't. I wonder if it's going to be weird. Are they going to have weird views on things like the 40s?
I mean, I've seen the Simpsons parody of it, so.
Good. So you basically know what happens.
Pretty much. So yeah, we'll do that. Until then, remember you can see us this Saturday at Main Street Comic Con in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. That's Saturday, April 10th, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'll be there all day giving out some fun giveaways and merch. It's going to be a lot of fun. Devon and Ryan will be there in spirit. And by that, I mean I will have holograms of their ghosts. They'll be like blue force ghosts hovering around our tent.
It'd be great.
If you're watching on Twitch, make sure to hit that follow button. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and hit that like button and make sure that you can see our latest updates for everything coming out soon. You can listen to our podcast on all major podcasting platforms, and you can follow us on Instagram for some fun stuff. Until next time, for You Have to Watch This Podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devon.
And fatality.
Oh, yay! You did one of them.
Yeah.